If you're watching this video, then just like me about 4.5 years ago, you're thinking about moving to Florida, the greatest state in the United States, or at least the greatest state that I've ever happened to visit and live. By the way, my name's Jason Eichmiller. I run this channel. I own and run Key Home Lending. And what we are is we're a boutique mortgage firm down here in Palm Beach County. This is actually a lake in my backyard in, well, one of those houses back down there. It's my backyard in Wellington, Florida. The community is it's called Olympia. So fancy, Olympia. But anyway, we're not really here to talk about Olympia or Wellington so much. Just more of the thought process and the actions, what we did to successfully move down to Florida. Little bit of background, and this will be a pretty short video, but I do want to touch on a couple of things. So again, if you have a family and you live, especially if you live in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, Midwest, oh, fish just jumped over there. That was pretty cool. There's some nature in this too. So if you're like me, I lived in Ambler, Pennsylvania, which is a kind of like the outskirts of Philadelphia. We're getting kind of close to the shore right here. I'm gonna try to paddle with one hand. We'll see how smooth that is. But this will ring true for you because one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to move my family down here, maybe a little selfish for me, but I think is not that selfish when it comes to the kids. I don't like winter. Right now it's February 2024, and my kids are outside. Well, they're in school right now, but when they get off, Alyssa is going to have 2 outdoor volleyball practices. One is sand, and my son, Jason, is going to have his outdoor travel soccer practice. These kids are outside all of the time now. And if you rewind it back, we moved down here to Wellington in August of 2019. You know what? This thing keeps getting closer to the shore because the wind is blowing from whatever direction the other direction is. So again, I'm going to try to paddle with one hand and not end up in the reeds. So one of my biggest gripes, and I mean for myself, I think I always had a little bit of seasonal depression. Was not a fan of winter. If you live in the Midwest or Mid-Atlantic or Northeast, I think the worst, tell me if you agree with this. For me, the worst season, or the worst part of the changing of the seasons, was in November, basically from November through April, the cold November rain. Yes, it's a Guns N' Roses song, but you could, it basically has to do with living up there when you have this wintry, say a wintry mix, when it's about 36 or 38 and it's breezy and it's rainy and it's cloudy for weeks. Oh my God, that was the most, I don't know, maybe you like winter, but I think if you like winter, you're not watching this video. So for me and my family and my kids, that was just the most depressing part of our year, and it just lasted so long. And I remember, so Jason was playing soccer. He was a young kid back then. He was, 6 years old, 7 years old? Now they're 13, 12, and 10, and they're growing up going to the beach and being outside all the time, playing sports outside. We went to my 4th grader, Molly. I chaperoned her trip to St. Augustine last Friday, and it was awesome. And it was actually, it wasn't warm out there, but I was wearing kind of like long sleeve shirt and shorts like this. The temperatures were in the 70s. Florida is amazing in the winter, and it's even better in the summer, as long as you're somewhat close to the coast. But anyway, getting back to Jason's, I digress a lot. Getting back to Jason's situation, he was playing indoor soccer in winter of 2019, right before we moved. Again, we moved here in August of 2019. So like January or February of 2019. We pull up, where we have the indoor soccer game. We pull up to the arena, and I kid you not, as soon as we stepped out of the car, the wind was so strong, it was like whistling in between the buildings. You couldn't catch your breath. And it was in the 20s. And the kids were just crying. They were like, this, I don't know, it felt like this was not the way to raise the kids. This was not how I wanted them to grow up. So I had always conceptualized, I always thought about Florida in my mind, like, hey, man, it would be awesome to live down here among nature, around nature, and not have winter. But I always thought, like, man, it's too much, too far of a trip, too far of a move. We don't know anybody. This is stuff that you might be thinking of. 1,000 miles away. Oh my goodness, I'm going to leave all my family and friends. We didn't know a single person. We didn't know anybody in Wellington, Florida, where we moved. But you know what? Screw it. That time, that moment at the end, walking to the indoor soccer arena. I don't know which team won. I don't know which team lost, but I remember the kids' tears. And I think it's weird how your memory holds on to somewhat trivial, but I don't think this was a trivial moment. I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life. That was the moment that I decided that, hey, we're going to make this happen. Florida is in our future. Don't know how we're going to do it. Just like you're probably thinking, man, it's February or March or whatever time. I've been thinking about Florida for so long, but my friends and I told my family and they think I'm an idiot. Got that. We got a lot of that. That's called FUD. The real thing is, if you really think about it, you have a responsibility for yourself and your family and not your parents. I mean, if you're caring for your parents, it's a little bit different, but not your siblings and not your friends and not their negativity. So, and a lot of friends were positive and excited for us. And once we moved down here, we invited friends down and they had a great time visiting us. They're like, oh, we're going to move. So then I helped them move. And some are in Wellington and some are in other parts of the state. Man, this wind is really taking this kayak. So that's when I decided, that moment is when I decided, hey, don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to make the move. And I can tell you this, we moved quickly. And the move was not that hard. But how is it not that hard? You moved 1,000 miles, you didn't know a soul. We had to sell our house, we had to find another house down here, buy it, research schools, do all that stuff. So in the next couple minutes, I'm going to take you through kind of what my thought process was, how I got my wife on board. That was a toughie. And how the kids are coping and how we're coping 4.5 years later. So again, so you know the backstory, you know why we wanted to move. Basically, the weather, the climate, to live a better life. Okay, cool. Makes sense. Everybody's with that. We had no family. We had no friends down here. Just had to figure it out. So what we did for our family, everybody's different. Every family's different, and there's a ton of different areas in Florida. So I'm not saying that Wellington, Florida is the end all be all. We visited it. We liked it. It checked off all of our boxes. So we said, all right, perfection is the enemy of productivity, so we're just going to move there. But we know people who just visit place to place to place. I want to research everything. I want to see every town. You're going to be stuck researching 3 years from now, and you're not going to really get anywhere. Take action. That's something that I've always been taught, is if you find something and it seems smart and it's going to improve things for you, then you take action. So anyway, what did we do? First of all, the most important thing, because we had 3 little kids and now they're 3 not so little kids anymore. Molly's still 10, but she rules the house. We had to figure out the school situation. Now, if you live in the Northeast or the Mid-Atlantic or wherever it is, you've probably hear people talking down on Florida schools. And to an extent, they're right. I think there's probably some terrible schools in Florida. But fortunately, they're not all right. So we went on a website that's still here 4.5 years later. It's called greatschools.org. And on Great Schools, we were able to, once we visited a couple towns, we were able to isolate schools that were highly ranked. This isn't rocket science, by the way. It's just a resource. You literally just type in greatschools.org. Bam. Okay, cool. So originally we were looking on the West Coast in the Fort Myers, Cape Coral area. We had vacation there. There's cheap homes on the wall. Nothing's cheap in Florida anymore. By the way, nothing is cheap in Florida anymore. That's what's different from from pre-COVID, from August of 2019. But we were looking at Cape Coral, maybe building a house on the water, and we just couldn't get the schools to work. We weren't getting good vibes. Cape Coral, and by the way, lovely people live in Cape Coral. My parents live there now. My parents, they're 76. For a young family, I couldn't get it to jive. I couldn't find schools that were rated high enough. And so really, that was it. We said, you know what, Cape Coral's great. We'll visit you. It's cool, but we're not going to move there. So then we started looking on the East Coast. And for my wife, besides the school thing, most important, wherever you go, schools have to be awesome. We didn't have the money or the desire to spend so much money for private schools. We wanted to go public. I grew up in public schools my whole life. But mind you, my wife grew up in private schools, so we had a little yin yang there. But public schools are great where in Wellington, where we found them. But anyway, to find Wellington, we looked at the fact that we found the fact that, like, again, everybody's values are different, but we wanted to be close to the beach. A lot of people do. Some people don't, but we wanted to be close to the beach. We also wanted some level of suburbia. So where we lived in Ambler, Pennsylvania, it was very suburban. Great schools, great people, had lots of friends. You can get to Philadelphia if you wanted to. Not many people do, and we didn't want to too often, but you could get to Philly pretty quickly on a train or driving. You can get to the Jersey Shore. If you're from Jersey, you know how revered the Jersey Shore is, so we could get to the Jersey Shore in a couple of hours. So we wanted to be close to everything. My wife, she taught at Cycle Bar and still does. She said, hey, I just want to go somewhere where there's a Trader Joe's, palm trees, and a cycle bar. That was Wellington. So this is when everything came together. June of 2019, I went down, I was in North Miami for a marketing conference, and it was Father's Day. Family flew down. We found that Wellington, we thought it checked all the boxes. We saw good schools. We saw suburbia, 25 minutes from the ocean. Palm Beach County, very, very suburban county, pretty south. The climate's awesome here. This is kind of probably a topic for another video, but it is South Florida, but because the Gulf Stream comes so close to the shore, the winters are very mild. It's warmer here than it is 50 miles north. It's like a different climate. And the summers, they're hot. The summers are definitely hot here, but they're not as bad as summers in, say, Orlando, where you don't have where you're not close to the Gulf Stream, you're not close to the ocean. The deep South, or visiting South Carolina, those summers are oppressive. Still beautiful country. And even in where I grew up in Columbia, Maryland, I'm kind of turning the kayak right here. Where I grew up in Columbia, Maryland, and Ambler, where we lived, those summers, it wouldn't be hot the whole summer, but you'd have weeks where it's like 100 degrees end on end. And I don't think down here, I don't think in Wellington it's ever gotten to be 100 degrees for one day, ever. And again, that's because of the Gulf Stream. So climate was big. So we found that Wellington checked all of these boxes. And there were other areas close. You had Parkland, you have Palm Beach Gardens, you have Jupiter, some other areas as well. But for us, we actually rented a house. We did an Airbnb in Wellington, again, Father's Day, right after my little marketing conference. We stayed for a few days. We tried really hard, sort of failed, but we tried to just do the suburbia thing, the we're living here thing, and not go to the beach every day. We went to the beach a bit. We went to the restaurants. We went to the bars on the Intercoastal. There's some incredible ones, by the way. We had a lot of fun. But we went to the library. We drove around town. We looked at communities. We didn't look too seriously because we still had to put our house on the market, but we were there, and we figured that, okay, this is a great area. Yes, we could spend a lot of time looking in other areas and look at Parkland and look at Palm Beach Gardens, but if you're happy with one thing, just roll with it. So we found that we really liked the area, did a little bit more research, found that it sounded great. And here's what we did when we got back to Ambler. We fixed up the house real quick. We had a couple projects to do. We put it on the market and it sold. This was before the market was crazy, but it sold in a day. Maybe I should have priced it higher. I blame my realtor, but it sold in a day. We had, I forget whether it was 30 or 34 or 45 days to get out and get down here, but we did it. So as soon as we got under contract, we were looking down here. Now I told you this area, this is a community called Olympia. So we found this community, it's an HOA, and there's different strokes for different folks. Some people like HOAs, some people want non-HOA communities. What we thought, like my thought pattern was pretty simple. Number one, Olympia has great schools. So you have Equestrian Trails Elementary, Emerald Cove Middle. So those are two schools that it was districted to. So we didn't even have to think about private school, nor would we. We knew the kids were going to get an awesome education. So for all those people who said, oh, your kids aren't going to be able to read in Florida, the Florida curriculum for them is actually tougher than it was in the PA public schools. And the PA public schools are really good too. So there you go. You got to find the right school. So we liked Olympia because of the schools. We also really liked it because my wife and I were both fairly social people. My kids are the same way. And we wanted to make friends. We didn't want to be, well, we knew we were going to be the new crew for a while. And it is what it is when you move into a new place, 1,000 miles away, not knowing anybody. But we wanted to make friends as quickly as possible. So Olympia, there's right about 1,700 homes here. I'm on a lake. This lake looks huge, and it is pretty big, but this lake is in the middle of Olympia. So you have everything from rental homes to these monstrosity estate style type homes as well. I kind of got something for everybody in here, but yet it's very close. It kind of looks like it's in the middle of the wilderness, but it's actually bordering up on Forest Hill and 441. 441 is a small highway that goes all the way down to past Boca into Fort Lauderdale. You have the Turnpike, which is about 2 miles away as the crow flies. And then you have the equestrian activities and houses. And that's actually a really cool part about Wellington. We didn't even know about really until we moved down. But the equestrian activities are amazing. Those are 2 or 3 miles away too. Sports fields are awesome. Oh, you know what I just saw? There's a pink spoonbill crane over there. I think it's probably going to be, I'm going to show you over here. I don't know how to zoom in at this angle, but if you see pink on it, then that's a pink spoonbill. If you don't see pink, then you just have to take my word for it, okay? Maybe you saw it. I don't even know if I pointed this in the right direction. So Olympia was awesome. It checked off so many boxes for us. We found a house that was on the market that looked perfect for our family. We actually did the inspection. We had a realtor do a video tour of it, so we didn't even leave Ambler because I was working a lot. I had already taken that trip for Father's Day, so I couldn't really make my way back down again. So our realtor basically did everything for us. She was terrific, and that's what we'll do for you too if you want to move down here or anywhere. Hook you up with the best realtors, hook you up as far as mortgages. I'll do everything on that end, get you hooked up with the insurance, get you hooked up with absolutely everything so that you can really, I mean, it is stressful moving 1,000 miles away, but you don't have to stress. So you can kind of follow my template, do what I do. And I didn't know what I was doing, by the way. I was just like, oh yeah, I can't go down. Realtor, can you look at this house? Can you check it out? Yep, we did the video tour. We're like, my God, this place is awesome. So went under contract, we drove down with all of our stuff. We got a pods, drove down in early August. The kids started school. We were at an Airbnb because it was just like a week in between driving down, school starting and closing at this place in Olympia. And we were in, and it was easy as that. Now, a couple of things you might be thinking of. Well, everybody doesn't want me to go and I'll miss my friends and family. All right, depending on where you live, it's a $100 or $200 plane ticket. If they really care about you, and if you really care about them, you will make the opportunity to visit each other. You'll go back, they'll come here. There are planes, things called planes that go up, go level, and go down, and you'll be able to do it. I guess there's some yard work over here, so you might be hearing something. So if you have negativity, let's just think that these people have your best interest in mind, because normally they do, but they're jealous. You're making a massive move that they've probably thought about, but they don't have the cojones. They don't have the balls to do it, but you do. And that makes people jealous. And what happens when people are jealous? It's very hard for them to say, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. This is amazing. A lot easier for them to say, oh, you'll be back. Oh, I heard Florida is this. I heard Florida is that. So when you hear negativity, just turn the other cheek. Don't get worked up. I still might hold a grudge or two 4 years later, but that's just me. Don't be like me. Don't hold any grudges. You're doing an amazing thing for yourself and your family. Don't sweat the small, important stuff. Remember, your duty, your allegiance, your alliance, not alliance, allegiance is to your family, nobody else. If you think this is a move that's going to improve your life and your kids' life and your family's life, don't look back. Remember, planes, they go. Every summer, we still spend about a month at the Jersey Shore. We drive there. It's okay. It's not that bad. We visited at Christmas this year. Didn't the past couple of years. We get up there. It's cool. And we get back. We get back here where it's not 40 degrees and rainy. No thanks. Been there, done that. Never again. So that's something you might deal with. You will feel overwhelmed. You will feel insecure. It's just human nature. Fear, right? What's the acronym for fear? The good one. Face everything and rise. There's nothing real in that fear. Yes, you're moving far away, but you have normal people. I think I'm normal. Maybe I'm not normal. My wife might say that I'm abnormal, but we did it. And if we can do it with 3 kids and activities and everything else, we're thriving here. We have more friends than ever. Business is great. We met so many people who were just like us. So many friends who also made the move from whether it's Connecticut, Maryland, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, California. I've helped quite a few folks move from California over here. I mean, these are the people that you want to surround yourself with. Successful, wonderful, friendly people who also have the cojones to make a big move and change their families' lives forever. So that's it. There's probably more stuff I can talk about. So now you know how to find schools. It's greatschools.org. You have some ideas on how to find the right area for you. You know what to do when people are talking trash, when they shouldn't. Just, again, turn the other cheek. It's not about them. This is all about you and your family and improving your life. So if you want to do this, if you want to make this move a reality, I'm with you. You can do this. Again, we did it. I'm not talking about theory or anything. My family did this 4.5 years ago. My wife she's living her best life, by the way, right now. But she was not, she was nervous. She was upset. Her people close to her were giving her a lot of junk. But she was also she's an Irish Philly family. They don't leave. It's like the Sopranos. It's like the mafia. You don't get out. We got out. It's great. Never going back besides to visit. And it's just, it worked so well for us that I would just, if you're ready to do this and you want to do this, yes, you can be afraid and that's fine. Again, face everything and rise. You can do this. So if you'd like to reach me, my contact information will be below, but my name's Jason Eichmiller. Glad to do everything for you. Give you an idea of where I think you should land, help you out with schools, help you out with connecting with a great realtor. I do the financing. I'm an expert at that. I've helped tons of folks relocate and everybody's happy. Everybody's happy when they're down here. So you can give me a ring at 888-309-9705. Again, it'll be below somewhere, but 888-309-9705. You can email me, jason@keyhomelending.com. Again, Jason at keyhomelending.com. Or you can go to www.keyhome.life. But I don't know, call me or email me. Keyhome.life though has some testimonials, so you can see like letters and reviews, so you can see like how good of a job I did for my folks. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope this inspired you. I wish I had something like this when I was moving down. I would have shown my wife this video and said, "See, Bridget, we can do it." Maybe I should interview her about how awesome her, like how happy she is when she moved here. I think I'll do that. I'll do a video of that. I'll email some, or I'll interview some of my friends who've also made the move and are happy. Everybody's happy. All right. Feel free to get in touch and keep that dream. You can do this. Take care of yourself.